Hello, comrades and gremlins. Welcome back to the Surplusloki channel. My name is Tavane, and today for Freebie Game Friday, we're going to be playing a visual novel called A Warmer Shade of Summer. So the little bit that I found about this game, our grandfather's farm is in disrepair, so we're coming back from break about 2 years into college and just seeing if we can bring the farm back to life of sorts, maybe find some love along the way. So make sure you got your comfort snack and your favorite beverage handy. Sit down, relax, enjoy, and let's get started with A Warmer Shade of Summer. Hey comrades and gremlins, Editing Tavane here. I did want to make a note about this game before the video continues, that this does have darker themes to it, so I did want to give a trigger warning that this has drug use, harder drug use, as well as getting into not very good situations. So with that in mind, if this video ain't for you, feel free to click off. No harm, no foul. Other than that, enjoy the video. Hey, kid, wake up. Huh? What? I awoke to the empty interior of the public bus. Just an hour ago, this thing had been packed full of people, but now, the only person left was the bus driver and me. Last stop is in 5 minutes, better get your stuff together. Oh, right. I guess I must have dozed off. Hello? Anyone in there? I looked up at the bus driver. The old man's eyes were fixed on the road, but I could still make out his face in the rearview mirror. Hey kid, you got a name? My name? I'm pretty sure I have one of those. Yes, we do have a name. We're gonna put in Tavane. It's, Tavane. Well, Tavane, I sure hope you didn't sleep through your stop. For a second, I felt a wave of panic shoot through me. Wait, the last stop on this route is still Summerset, right? Yep. I let out a sigh, then checked my pockets to make sure I had all my essentials. My phone and my wallet were still right where I left them. I looked at my wallet to make sure no one had made off with anything while I'd been asleep. Dang, $200 in my pocket? Heck yeah! We going out tonight. What brings you this far out? I'm visiting my grandfather's farm. He died a few weeks ago and the farm was left to my family in his will. I'm sorry, kid. Always a shame when you lose a family member. So, you're heading out there all by yourself? Shouldn't you be in school or something? The college term just let out for the summer. Ah, right. I can never keep track of when they let the hooligans out to run amok. What's it you're studying at university? Chemistry. Huh. Chemistry? What do you plan on doing with that? I hope to get a job after graduation. Pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, something like that. I can never get my head around any of that egghead stuff. Who you call an egghead, boy? So, you're all on your own? No mom or dad to deal with this kind of stuff? They said there were too many emotions buried out on that farm. They didn't want to soil the old memories of family vacations from long ago. So what's your plan once you get up there? Someone has to see to what's left of the old property, and hopefully I can find someone who will buy the land off our hands. What? Buy it? That place was part of your childhood. You want to throw it all away for a handful of cash? Well, we thought it would be better than letting the old place just waste away. The bus driver let out a sigh. It's a shame the only thing the youngsters think about nowadays is money. Well, I mean, in this economy, yes. That's mostly all people think about. Are you just getting the picture now, sir? Neither of us said a word for the remainder of the trip. Yeah. A few minutes later, the bus came to a stop. It was too dark to make out anything past the headlights. Though, if I was in this situation and I just got a farm for passed down to me in my will. Me personally, I wouldn't sell it because I'm actually trying to eventually do something of that sort. It's not a farm, but just a big plot of land where I can do a mass amount of gardening and, you know, just live comfortably essentially, and like just be able to give the surplus goods that I grow and everything to things like food banks and like folks in need. So that's an eventual down the road thing I'd like to do. That's why I'm trying to learn some stuff here at home, like little gardening stuff. By the time this goes up, last weekend I went with my partner to Savers. We thrifted a few things so that I can start making some breads here at the house, especially some vegan breads, because I found some recipes, which I'm going to do some more research on some other recipes. I found some recipes that I really like for making bread, so I'm going to try a few out, see what works, see what doesn't, you know, trial and error, as I always say. A few minutes later, the bus came to a stop. It was too dark to make out anything past the headlights. You take care, kid. Summerset has a way with people. Some people set out to find who they are. Some people set out to change who they are. But Summerset tends to show you who you were all along. I stepped off the bus into the darkness, one hand on my phone and the other on my suitcase. I wonder what he meant by that. I sure hope I remember the way. I followed the dirt trail that led into town until I reached a crossroads. I shined my flashlight up to the worn wooden sign that labeled each direction of the crossroad. North, Summerset Beach. South, Summerset Bus Stop. West, Summerset. East, Esther Farm. I guess I'm headed east. I followed the dirt pathway for a few minutes until I reached the dilapidated wooden fence that marked the outskirts of the property. I opened the small gate that leads into the farmstead and hurried towards the main house. Even with my flashlight, it was still impossible to see much of anything, but I could make out the black silhouette of the farmhouse. I made for the house and fumbled around until I found the door. Oh, right, the key. I opened my suitcase and took out the envelope that held the deed to the property and a small metal key. With the key in hand, I unlocked the door and fumbled around for the lights. The old house hadn't changed much since I was a kid. 2 bedrooms, a decent kitchen, and a bathroom. Compared to my college dorm, it was a mansion. Yeah, that sounds about right. I haven't lived in dorms, but I've visited friends who live in dorms, and yeah, dorms are not the most luxurious of spaces, I will say. There's not much I can do until the sun comes up. I rolled my suitcase into the master bedroom and fell face first into the mattress. I guess I'll head into town tomorrow. And with that, I fell asleep. Did you even lock your front door, bro? We should be... I mean, unless this town is like one of those towns you can leave your doors unlocked. Is that... Huh? Someone's at the door? Knock knock! Knock knock! Wiki wiki! I let out a long yawn and climbed out of bed. I made for the door. As it opened, to my surprise, I met a familiar face. Huh? Eli? Wait, Tavane? Is that you? Well, hello, Eli. It must have been 10 years since I had last seen Eli. He was one of those friends you made on summer vacation but never stay in contact with after the break ends. We used to get into all kinds of trouble when we were kids. Eli. Jeez, it's been years. What are you doing here? Oh, well, last night I was parked on the side of the road and I saw lights on the property. I thought that was mad suspicious, so I came here to investigate. Oh, well, that was me. What were you doing on the side of the road that late at night? Oh, well, I'm currently a bit home insolvent at the moment. Eli, what'd you do? What happened? Home insolvent? Are you saying you're homeless? Well, more or less. My folks kind of kicked me out. But enough about me. Are you here all by yourself? That's Eli, all right. Life washed off him like water off a duck. Yeah, after Granddad died, we decided to sell the property. That's why I'm here. Man, this place is a part of Summerset's history, you know? This farm's been here since, before I was born. Who are you planning on selling to? Not some big corp who will pave it over and turn it into a shopping mall, I hope. Well, it's not like that. I was hoping to sell to a local. Ha! I knew you were a good guy. Say, how long are you in town for? Oh, all of summer, probably. That's perfect! Perfect? Yeah, you see, I was actually talking to your granddad about renting out the garage to me. Before he... well... My granddad was going to rent you living space? Hey man, I'm good for it, and apparently the old guy needed the cash. Granddad had money issues? That's news to me. So what do you say? I could pay you up front for the 3 months you'll be staying here. I don't know. Eli has always been a troublemaker. Ah, come on, man. I could see you mulling it over in that big head of yours. For old time's sake? Cash up front? Okay. Wait, really? I mean, I knew you wouldn't let an old friend hang out to dry. Not to mention when that friend comes bearing the gift of a big old wad of cash. Eli then pulled an envelope from his back pocket and handed me a few $100s in worn, ragged bills. Jeez, dude! Couple hundred? I had $200 in my pockets to start off with. Where did you get the spare $2,000, my guy? Do I need to be concerned that this is blood money, sir? You can always use some more spending money, especially in Summerset. What do you mean? Oh, come on, man. Don't tell me you never noticed when we were younger. Summerset's always been a big hit with all the city girls, especially during summer break, and there's nothing city girls appreciate more than a guy with a full wallet. I'm not so sure about that. Alright, dude. Give me a minute, and I'll pull my truck in and start unloading my stuff. Okay. Eli then walked off the porch and took off down the dirt road. A few minutes later, he returned in a big red pickup, which he parked in the gravel dirt driveway. The back of the truck was covered in a big blue tarp. Clearly, all of his worldly possessions were in the back. Alright, dude. I'll start unpacking, and don't worry, I earned my keep. I'll make sure the garage is nice and cleaned up. One thing I forgot to mention, privacy is kind of a big deal for me. So if I stay out of your space, you'll stay out of mine, right? I guess I don't have a problem with that. Ah, you're a good guy, Tavane. You should head into town. When you get back, I'll have this unloaded and the place a bit spiffed up. You don't need any help? Nah, bro. You're new to this whole landlord thing, but I'll give you some advice. You're not supposed to be helpful to your tenants. You're supposed to be a major league bummer. I'm just kidding, man. I got this. Eli is just as headstrong as when we were kids. I'll meet you in town when I'm all done with this. Okay. Try not to burn the place down while I'm gone, alright? Ah, jeez. You don't have to worry about me. I walked down the dirt pathway and out of the wooden gate. After a few minutes, I reached the crossroads and headed west into town. The dirt pathway soon transformed into a paved road of flagstones. The city center of Summerset hadn't changed much since I was younger. The pearly marble fountain in the center of town. The great classical architecture of the Summerset Bank. The old-style general store where Eli and I would buy sodas and ice cream on hot days. And of course, all the local houses which had still retained their old-fashioned architecture. However, not everything was the same. On the corner of the main street, there was a trendy bar that seemed like it would fit more in line with the nightclubs of the city than a small town like Summerset. Tavane? Is that you? I turned to face the source of the noise. It was a man standing in front of the bank. He looked only about a few years older than me. Ha! It is you! Oh, I'm sorry, do I know you? I suppose you were too young to remember me, but I remember your family well, especially your grandfather. When I was a teenager, I used to work for him, helping out on the farm during harvest season. You knew my grandfather well? Yes. It was a shame, really, to lose such an icon of our community. Your grandfather was as much a part of our town as the bank, or the beach, or the old general store. So, are you back in Summerset to settle his affairs? I nodded my head. So, what do you plan to do about his debts? What? Debts? Oh, I guess you didn't know about that. Your grandfather owed a substantial amount of money to the bank, and unfortunately, due to the nature of the loans, the collateral will fall upon his next of kin. You and your family. Collateral? How much did he owe you? Well, I didn't handle his account personally, so I don't know the exact figure, but yes? Well, word does tend to travel in a small town like Summerset. Last I heard, it was close to $100,000? Dude, Grandpa! That much money, dog? What? $100,000? There's no way we can pay that off. Sorry to say that any overlap will result in the bank seizing any remaining assets to make up the loss in income. Wait, are you saying the bank will take the farm? Well, that's where it gets more complicated. Your grandfather had 2 mortgages on his property not associated with our bank, and the amount tied up in those agreements is actually greater than the value of the property. We would actually lose money if we seized the property. So if we don't pay it back, the bank will be forced to seize other assets. Other assets? The property your family owns in the city. Our house? I couldn't believe my ears. How could all this have happened without us even knowing? How long do we have to pay off the debt? The lion's sum of the debt needs to be paid at the end of the summer. I began to feel faint, as a bitter twist knotted into my stomach. I didn't even remember walking back to the farm. I stumbled back onto the front porch. Jeez! We just come back, settle grandfather's affairs, and just get hit with, yeah, you have $100,000 to pay by the end of summer. I'd cry and probably pee myself at that moment. Like, that's a lot of money. And like, if we're counting inflation, yeah, that's even a lot more money by today's standards. I stumbled back onto the front porch. $100,000. What am I going to tell my folks? I heard shuffling through the closed garage door and went around back to the side door. Oh, you're back so soon. I thought we were going to meet in town. Whoa, hey man, you okay? What's going on? You don't look so good. I just heard... What, man? What happened? My grandfather... He owes a ton of money to the bank. A ton? Like how much? $100,000. What? How did that even happen? Did he have like major league gambling issues or something? I don't know, but I gotta find a way to make the money or the bank will seize everything. Can't you just sell the farm like you planned? Apparently, Granddad had 2 mortgages on this place. No one in their right mind would buy this place. How long do you have? The end of summer? Ha! Has Eli lost it more than me? This whole thing, dude, me and you, it's like destiny or something. Destiny? Yeah, fate. You and I will run the farm. Run the farm? We can fix this place up. We'll plant some crops. The growing season's just started. Eli's voice was filled with optimism. We'll figure this out together. You think we can grow $100,000 worth of crops? Hey, I didn't say it would be easy. Tavain and Eli farm. I like the sound of that. This is crazy. Yeah, crazy good idea. I began to feel dizzy. Aw, geez, man. Eli caught me as I began to stumble. Hey, man, you should lay down. Eli spent the rest of the day unpacking his stuff into the garage. I thought about calling my parents, but I didn't think it would do any good. Is it kinder to tell them now or later? I guess they deserve a few days of summer before I tell them we're destitute. Maybe Eli is right. Together we might have a shot of pulling something off. I sat down in bed. I guess I really don't have the answer. Day 1. Now we're on to day 2. Is it morning already? I guess I better find Eli. Oh, hey, boss. What's the plan for the day? Does the general store still sell seeds? Yeah, last time I checked. Wait, does that mean we're actually gonna do this? I nodded my head. Ha! Just you wait. With a little elbow grease, we'll turn this place around in no time. And with that, he outstretched his hand. I guess there's no turning back now. I took his hand within my own. We shook on it. Partners till the end. So, if we're gonna be partners, I think it's only fair you get to sleep in the guest bedroom. What, really? I already set up my futon and everything. You sure? I'm sure. I'm kinda glad your grandpa was storing all sorts of weird stuff in there. Big glass flasks and beakers, fertilizer, big bottles of iodine. I was kinda afraid I'd get a disease in there. Iodine? Oh yeah, he used to mix that in with his fertilizer. He claimed it increased the yield of the crops. But all the glassware, that must have been from when he was still working for the chemical plant. That stuff must be ancient. Well, in that case, there's something I need to get off my chest. I haven't been completely honest with you. Remember how I said I wanted privacy? Well, that wasn't completely true. I used to sell a little... Yeah? Just on the side. Dude, we're cool. We cool. Eli, you and me are cool, dog. You know, just to make a little cash. When my folks found out, they kind of flipped. That's why they kicked me out. I was afraid if he saw my plants, well... Somehow I'm not really surprised. Yeah, same here. So, you don't care? I have lived in a dorm before. It's not exactly a foreign concept to me. Eli let out a sigh. Oh, that's a relief. You never know when someone might have a stick up their rear about that stuff, you know? But hey, you never told me you went to college. What did you study? I'm not exactly done yet, but I was studying chemistry. Dude, that's perfect. You can use your Major League Brainiac skills to grow, super crops that will sell for twice as much. I didn't have the heart to tell Eli I didn't think my skills would translate to farming that easily. So, your Gramps was a chemist too? Is that why you went to study it? I guess I never thought about it like that. Maybe he used to tell me about all the stuff he would manufacture at the old plant. Jeez. That place shut down like a few decades ago. Your Gramps really was Gramps. So, how should we start? I guess I need to head into town and buy some seeds. Then I'll scope out the property and start clearing out a patch of dirt for us to grow on. I nodded my head and left Eli to his work before starting down the dirt path to town. I headed towards the general store and the door opened with a satisfying ring from a small bell attached to the top. I love those little bells. The general store had everything a person in a small town can need. From food and drink to cleaning products and toiletries, candles, pastries, there was a little something for everyone. I spotted a small rack that held a variety of garden seeds. I wonder what my granddad even grew. More importantly, I wonder who he sold to. Can I help you find anything? Wait, Tavain? Is that you? My,
It feels like just yesterday that you and little Eli would come in here with quarters you stole from the fountain to buy candies and sodas. But I'm rambling like an old hag now. Can I help you find something?
Did my grandfather buy seeds from you?
Oh, yes, and I would always buy his summer watermelons. They were always our most popular product this time of year. There should be some on the shelf in the back.
Thank you. I turned to find the rack of seeds and began to browse through the various selection. I turned to the sound of the door opening. A woman walked in and strolled past me without a passing glance, turning down the aisle.
Oh, Lyra, back again so soon?
Lyra? I turned to look at her. I almost didn't recognize her. She turned to face me and I looked back at the packets of seeds, pretending to read the label. I don't think she recognized me. Then I remembered. I remembered the last time I saw her, and the wave of guilt rolled over me. I wonder if she... I pulled as many watermelon seeds off the rack as were available and headed for the counter. Lyra was already checking out her items. She turned to face me. Do I... Wait. Tavane, is that you? Lyra, it's been 10 years? I don't think I've seen you since I was a kid. Must be... So, what are you doing back in Summerset? You know, just getting away from it all for a few weeks. My job can be... stressful. It's nice to have a little time to oneself. I nodded my head. And you? I heard about your granddad. He was a good man. I assume you're here to settle his affairs? Yeah. All by yourself? Too many memories for the folks. She glared at the cumbersome pile of seeds in my arms. And now? I never took you for a farmer. I'm actually a chemistry student. But I'm trying out a new hobby. The clerk cleared her throat and Lyra turned and paid with a few bills. Lyra picked up her items and slipped them into her purse. It was nice to see you again. She hurried for the door almost a little too quickly. And with that sound, she was gone. The clerk cleared her throat again. Oh, sorry. The old lady calculated the price by hand with a small pencil and a notebook. I paid her with a few of the ragged bills Eli had given me and picked up the bag of seeds.
Have a nice day.
I made my way back to the farm to find Eli hard at work, hoe in hand as he continued to dig out the earth. Hey man, you got the seeds? I nodded my head. Cool. I dug around the garage and found your granddad's old tools. He handed me a shovel. Let's get working. Eli and I spent the rest of the day working, and from the fruits of our labor we managed to cobble together a small patch of planted watermelon seeds. Oh, Eli looks so tired, dude. Oh, honey, you need some sleep. Man, I'm pooped. Who would have thought that farming would be so manual? Yeah? I'll see you in the morning. We have another big day ahead of us. Eli and I parted ways to our own separate rooms. I fell face first into bed. What a day. My legs ached and my hands were covered in newly earned blisters. Lyra. I wonder. I couldn't keep my eyes open. This place. I remember. Ah, we're getting a flashback now. Hey, Tavane, can I play with you guys? No, get away. We don't play with stupid girls. Come on, let's get out of here. But she never did leave us alone. Now that I think of it, I don't think she had any friends back in those days. Hey, Tavane, I got you this. I remember she was blushing when she handed them to me. One was strawberry, the other was vanilla. Your girlfriend bought you ice cream. Shut up, she's not my girlfriend. I remember I blushed too. I can totally see it in your face. You like her. Shut up. I do not. I remember picking up the sand. I bet you want to kiss her and everything. I remember her running away crying. Tavane, did you throw sand at Lyra's face today at the beach? No, who told you that? Her mother called and said she came home crying. Whatever, she's just a dumb girl. It's not my fault she's a big crybaby. Vane, you are going to apologize to her the instant you see her. I never did see her again after that. Not until today. Did I really never apologize?
Dang, dude. I should probably go apologize to her.
What should I do? Let's weed the patch. I spent the next hour pulling out the various weeds that seemed to spring endlessly in every direction. Eli and I had just weeded this area yesterday, but in no time at all, a new layer of dandelions, white clovers, and chickweeds had begun to pollute this small watermelon patch. Let's help Eli. I headed over to where Eli was working. Hey man, nice morning, right? Even if it's a one-horse town, Summerset will always have its oceanside mornings to balance everything else out. I suppose. So what are you up to? I started working at another patch. I tilled and hoed it already, but while I was digging, I found this. He gestured me towards a small hole he had dug about an inch deep. Getting down on all fours, he brushed away a thin layer of dirt to reveal the smooth face of a massive rock. Damn, that thing's massive. Yeah, it would take a forklift to get it out. Do you think we should start a new patch or ignore this spot? If we dig it out, maybe you and me could pull it out together. You're the boss. We started by digging out the edges of dirt around the rock until only the solid mass was left in the hole. Okay, let's try to lift it. We both clambered into the hole and got a solid grip on the rock. Okay, ready? 3, 2... Wait. Do you lift with your knees or your back? Your knees, Eli! Knees! Okay, got it. Ho! 1, go! We pulled as hard as we could, but the rock didn't budge. Jeez, I think the only thing that moved was a disc in my back. There's gotta be a better way. Can't you use your, mad chemistry skills to build, a bomb or something to blow it up? Dude, that's not how that works. I think a few of the locals might take issue with that. That too. So you're saying you could build a bomb? Okay. I thought it best not to answer that question. Good idea. Good idea, me. Let's not... I've got a better idea. I climbed out of the hole and rushed back to the side of the garage where several 2x4s had been sitting. I grabbed 2 of them and hurried back to Eli. Here's what we do. We use these planks as jacks. That way we can put all of our weight into lifting it. That's genius. That's like some physics stuff right there. We both took our 2x4s in hand and jacked them as deep as we could under the rock. Ready? I nodded my head. We pushed with all our weight into the planks and the rock began to lift up. Just a little more. We leveraged the rock against the wall of the hole and with all our might managed to push it out. Eli wiped the sweat off his brow. Man, let's hope we don't have to do any more of those. Alright. Start a new patch. Decided to start a completely new patch of watermelons. If we want to make any real money, we're going to need to scale up production. I started by clearing out the larger shrubs and a few head-sized rocks. I tilled the open area and began to hoe out the holes for the seeds. After a few hours, I had the whole patch tilled out and began to plant the seeds. With a small tilt from the watering can, I left the seeds to germinate. I guess that was it, so we just turned in for the day. That's enough work for one day. After another day of backbreaking work, Eli and I turned in for the day. It's going to be another hard day of work tomorrow. Best turn in early. Morning. Dude, you gotta wake up. My eyes shot open. Eli? Get out here now, man. I rushed outside to find Eli staring over our tirelessly tilled earthworks. All our work, dude. Down the tube. Then I saw it. Our carefully cultivated earthworks had been completely dug up, all the seeds were gone, and what small germlings we had were nowhere to be seen. Something must have gotten into the patch and ate all the seeds. Something? I don't know, rats or something. All that work for nothing. It was like the only 2 days of honest labor I ever did, and all for nothing. We have to start over. Start over? Come on, man. I think it's time we called it. We were never gonna sell 100 grand in melons before the end of summer. We can't just do nothing. Eli let out a sigh. I guess you're right. He picked up his tools and got back to work. I guess I'll have to go back into town and get more seeds. Yeah, I made my way back into Summerset and towards the general store. I pushed the front door open.
Back so soon?
I feigned a half smile. Just need a few more things. I began to look through the rack of seeds. Maybe a different type? Who am I kidding? Eli is right. There's no way I can grow 100 grand of crops in 3 months. I'm screwed. I let out a sigh and put the seeds back. As I turned to leave, I knocked over a small bottle of cleaning solution. I picked it up. Nail polish remover. Nothing more than diluted acetone. But the guy who thought of that is rolling in it. Out of sheer aimlessness and desperation, I began to browse the aisles of the store in search of some answer. I came across a bag of tea leaves on one of the shelves. Mormon tea? I realized I said that out loud.
Something wrong?
Oh, nothing. I think I've heard of this stuff.
Oh, yes. Very popular with some of the locals. They grow it on a local farm a few miles up the road. Some of the locals don't like to drink coffee, so they drink this stuff instead.
I read about it in a textbook. It's from a plant, a shrub, I think it's called. It has ephedrine in it.
What?
It's a natural stimulant they used to put into all sorts of stuff. Workout powder, energy drinks. Until it was used. Then I got an idea. A very, very bad idea. $100,000 in 3 months? I returned to the small shelf with all the cleaning supplies. I picked up 4 bottles of the acetone solution and brought them over to the counter. Tavane? I jumped at the sound of her voice like I thought someone had already caught on to what I was thinking. Oh, Lyra. Hey. You okay? Yeah. Just a busy day ahead of me. Hey, so, sorry about running off on you the other day. I was just a little surprised to see you, that's all. Yeah, me too. So, listen, I was thinking maybe we should hang out sometime, catch up on the lost years. You got a phone, right? Before I could respond, Lyra had retrieved her own cell phone from her purse and handed it to me to enter my number. I entered it with a few clicks before handing it back to her. The clerk cleared her throat. Oh, right. Sorry. I placed the bottles on the counter and pulled out my wallet, placing some more of the ragged bills on the counter. Must be lonely on that farm all by yourself. Actually, you remember Eli? How could I forget? We're actually sort of roommates right now. You two under the same roof? You're liable to burn the place down. She began to eye the bottles of acetone I was buying. Have you given up on farming so quickly? The half-truth spilled from my mouth before I even realized I was saying it. We use it to clean all the machinery on the farm, tractors, engines, motors, that kind of stuff. I guess you really are a chemist, or maybe just a really good janitor. I picked up the bag that held my items. I better get going before Eli burns down the property. I turned to leave. Hey, Tavane? I turned back. See you around. Hey, we got that wink. I rushed back to the farm. Hey man, you get more seeds? No. Don't tell me you're out of money. You were right, Eli. We can't grow 100 grand worth of crops. Well, I'm not so sure about that. I just said that because I was all flustered, you know. But for sure, we won't get anywhere without seeds. Eli, you said you sold on the side, right? Well, shh.
Sure, 4 or 5 times, but I never made it a habit. Who did you sell to? Oh, why? Is someone asking about me? Humor me. Just like a guy I knew, he was a friend of a friend from high school. What was your biggest score? Listen, man, there's no way we can grow pot out here without someone noticing. Just answer the question. Like, a few grand once, but it took me a month to grow that amount for my little shrubs. Did he buy more than just one? Why, come on, man, work with me. He was a distributor. He sold everything under the sun and then some. How much do you think we can get for something a little harder? Harder? Like how much harder? This went from 0 to 100 real quick. We went from farming to Breaking Bad. What? Are we okay? Actually, no. We're trying to get $100,000. What? Like crystal? Are you crazy? You said it yourself, there's no way we could grow that much scratch, so the way I see it, we need to synthesize it. Look, I understand what I'm asking you to do is crazy and illegal, but I can't do this alone. If you walk, I'll understand, but I'll have to do it myself. This is my last resort. I slowly extend my hand. He hesitated for a moment. He reached out and shook it. Partners to the end. And so as quickly as we had picked up farming, we abandoned the premise. Okay. So, did you call your guy? Yeah, he agreed to meet with the stuff you asked for, but look, the guy he works for is a complete psycho, so the less we deal with these guys, the better. When's the meet? Eli let out a sigh. Tonight, midnight, here. Here? It's not like we're gonna be interrupted, and as far as they know, this is just some dead farmer's rotting property. Sorry, I didn't mean it like this. It's just, we were interrupted by the sound of a phone ringing. I took my phone out of my pocket and opened it. Hey, you there? Oh, it's Lyra. What's up? Meet at the bar tonight? Who is it? It's, well, you remember Lyra, right? Lyra? I haven't seen her in years. Is she back in town? I bumped into her in town and she wants to catch up. I'll tell her another time. Wait, no. If you say no, it'll look suspicious. The deal's not till later tonight. That's plenty of time for you to meet and greet, then come back. Are you sure? Dude, you're a chemistry student that lives on a farm in the middle of summer break. Saying no to meeting a girl at a bar is like documenting that you're housing some shadow dealings. I guess he has a point. I looked down to my phone. Sure, what time? 8 o'clock? Sounds good. It's pretty quiet there on the weekend. See you there then. Can I give you advice? Taking advice from Eli felt like looking down the barrel of a loaded gun. Okay. Sure, what's your advice, Eli? Take a shower and change it to something that doesn't smell like a drug lab. You know what? Fair point. That's some good advice, Eli. I took Eli's advice to heart before changing into some more formal clothes. With half an hour to spare, I started to walk towards Summerset. When I arrived back in town, the streets had almost completely emptied with the setting sun. On the weekends, Somerset's nightlife would stay up early into the mornings, entertaining tourists and vacationers. But on weekdays, it could be confused for any other rural town. I looked down at my phone. It's 7:58. I guess she's already inside. Oh, look at this fancy bar. I pushed open the door to the swanky bar and was invited in by soft music. The room was extremely dim, and as my eyes adjusted to the lighting, I spotted her sitting at the bar by herself. Oh, hey Lyra. Found the place all by yourself. I was afraid I would have to draw you a map. Well, traffic was awful. Almost thought I wouldn't make it. She cracked a smile as I sat down. This place seems a little out of place in a town like Summerset. Some rich guy from the city bought the old lot that was here, turned it into a place for the tourists from the city. Although that just means this place is basically empty during the weekdays. So, are you still staying at the old summer cabin? No. Parents sold that place years ago. Some rich asshole bulldozed it and built a fancy beach house. That sucks. Lyra shrugged. Rich assholes will be rich assholes. No one forced us to sell. But yeah, it sucks. So, where are you staying for the time being? The old inn by the beach. I remember that one. It's nice to know some of the old places are still around. Somerset's changed since we were kids. Or maybe it just seems that way now that the rose-tinted shades are off. She took a sip from her drink. You thirsty? Oh, I don't drink. Suit yourself. She then took another sip from her glass, leaving behind a small purple imprint of lipstick. She felt her lip with one finger and then pulled out her purse, revealing a thin tube of purple gloss from it, which she carefully reapplied to her lips. That's a pretty shade. Expensive, too. It's really a deterrent more than anything. Deterrent? She shrugged. I didn't know if you were going to show up, and then there are plenty of handsome people that frequent this place. So I made sure to wear this shade as a reminder and a deterrent. Is it poisonous? She laughed at this. Not quite. They stopped making this specific shade a few years ago, and it was always my favorite. You can buy it online for an arm and a leg, but I could never really rationalize spending so much on something so simple. So how's it a deterrent? Well, if I was to say, kiss someone tonight, I would want it to be someone worth my time, otherwise I would have soiled such a fine tube for nothing. She cracked a smile and then took another sip from her drink. So, how many years has it been? Close to 10 now, I think. All those summers seem so far away now, like a dream that was never real. So what have you been doing for all these years? Not much. Coasted through high school, went to university to study chemistry. Can't say I've spent much time doing anything exciting. You? You never actually said what you do for your job. My job, she paused for a moment, requires me to work with people. I guess you could say I'm not exactly a people person. So why do you stick with it? She seemed to compose herself for a moment. It's just, sometimes I feel like I'm a broken clock. In a way, we all are. We all have that one thing that makes us whole, that one thing we can do better than anyone else. And when we get to do that one singular thing, that's when we get to tick right twice a day. So you don't like people. People can be cruel. At some point, you get tired of being hurt. There was a moment of silence as she broke eye contact with me. I have a way with people. A way of seeing the worst in them. It's a gift and a flaw. I can never see something as wholly good without a nagging in the back of my mind. Nagging? Like a parasite that gnaws away looking for the one simple human truth that I've always found to be true, which is that there can't be good without bad. That all sounds intense. I guess it's a lonely outlook on the world, but it's not all bad though. When you expect the worst in people, you'll never be disappointed in them. She then seemed to recoil at her own words. I didn't mean to insinuate anything about... It's fine. They weren't exactly throwing me going away parties when I left for university. And when I got there, I made friends with the glassware and the textbooks. Lyra laughed at this. When I was a kid, I used to think you and Eli were the coolest two people on the planet. I guess it's just hard for me to imagine you up to your nose in textbooks. I felt a wave of guilt run through my gut.
Seems kind of fitting we ended up where we did then, I guess.
What do you mean?
It's just... never mind. She let out another small chuckle. Talk about something else. So the farm. What's your plan? I was gonna sell it to a local. At least that was the plan. What happened? I ran into a few bumps in the road, but I have some plans in the works. If you and Eli cooked up these plans, I can only imagine how this is gonna end. I laughed at this, but even still, I remembered how things had ended all those years ago. I felt the wave of guilt return to me. I should really say something. I don't think this is the time for it. Though it is nagging at us, like all those years ago. Lyra. Then, as if someone knew, I was in trouble. Oh, that's mine. I opened it. It was Eli. Dude, the dealer. He pushed the deal up. 20 minutes. Get your pants on. Everything okay? Yeah, just something at the farm. Lyra, I have to go. I figured as much. She then finished off her drink in one final swig. I have a few minutes. I can walk you back to your hotel room if you want. She smiled at this as she stood. I'll manage on my own. I'm a big girl after all. She then placed her hand on my shoulder and in one swift movement planted a small kiss on my cheek, leaving behind a faint purple imprint. But thanks for offering. She pulled her purse over her shoulder and with a small hand movement waved goodbye as she left me at the bar. See you around! I wiped the small stain away and looked down at my finger that was now smudged purple. I exited the bar and quickly hurried back towards the farm. You made it. He let out a long sigh. So what are you gonna say? What? To the dealer, you got a plan? It's just a business transaction, right? You've done this before. Yeah, but never anything this big. Man, I thought you had a plan. I had a plan, you're the extra dealer. And by the way, did you really text me the details of meat being pushed up? Me, it took you all of one day to decide you wanted to cook, and you don't have a plan for talking to this guy. Oh man, please tell me you at least have the money to pay this guy. I got it all, don't worry. Just then, a bright red muscle car pulled up through the open wooden gate and stopped just in front of us. A man in a hoodie appeared from the driver's seat. $2,000. For all the pseudos. If you screw me on this, those two jibheads ain't the only ones the cops are gonna find burning on the side of the interstate. So, we have a deal? The man popped the trunk on his car. Yeah, we got a deal. You got 3 days. Do not screw me. And with a slam of his door, he drove off into the night. How'd you know how much to ask? I shrugged. I didn't. Why? Do you think I went too low? Dude, I said we shouldn't be making deals with these guys. Now you want to sell a pound to them? As opposed to what? Selling it on the side of the street from a cardboard stand like it's lemonade? So unless you have some other contact we can sell to, this is our best option. I grabbed the bag of pills. Come on, let's get some sleep. Tomorrow we start for real. Eli and I spent a silent night in our separate rooms. This went complete 180. This was not what I was expecting. I was expecting, just do a cutesy little farm game. Are we actually going to do this? We're officially out of money, and we've already come this far. If Eli is afraid of those guys, I don't think we have a choice but to cook. Get to the point, man. Is my guy gonna have any problems? I nodded my head no. We did good, Eli. Jeez, that's a relief. Man, I was afraid of what my guy would do if we showed up empty-handed. You did good today, Eli. Maybe I'll put this on my resume. I scoffed. Try technical experience in the production of organic compounds. If you had that on your CV, I'm sure you can get a real job. Eli and I went our separate ways for the night. Morning again. I wonder if Eli made it back okay. I got out of bed and headed down the hallway. Eli? I knocked on the door of his room and heard no response. I pushed the door open a crack. His room smelled heavily and several empty bottles of beer sat on his bedside table. He was passed out in bed. Guess he was out late celebrating.
I knocked on the edge of the door frame and he snorted as he slumped awake for a moment. What? Just making sure you're still breathing. Leave me. What? Oh, my head. I closed the door. Guess you've earned a day off. Then I heard it. I returned to my charging phone. Is that Lyra? Yeah. Hey. What's up? You busy? I was thinking. Beach day? Sounds like fun. Got a new swimsuit. Been waiting to break it in. Sure. What time? 1 o'clock? Oh, shit. Eli, still obliviously hungover, stumbled into the room. Dude, we got a problem. He held up his phone and I read the message in question. Last night, apparently I called my guy. He thinks we're gonna meet in an hour for the deal. What? Why would you do that? Dude, I was plastered out of my mind. I kinda overdid it, but you know it was a celebration. Listen, obviously this isn't ideal. Sober up, we'll meet up with him and do the deal. Okay. I hurried into the garage and found the bag of cook just the other day. I picked it up and already could tell something was wrong. It wasn't where I had left it the other day. I placed it on the scale. 1.05 pounds. Eli, get in here. What? We're missing an ounce. Missing? What happened last night? You didn't smoke. What? No. Then what happened? I could tell that question was racking every fiber of his brain for an answer. Oh god, I think I might have sold it to someone last night. What? You sold it? It's all so fuzzy, but I think I met a guy last night. He had some friends who were looking to party, and I was so drunk. Open your wallet. What? Just do it. Eli reached into his back pocket and pulled out the small leather sleeve. Inside, we found a few $100s in fresh, clean bills. Did you have this cash before? No. I had maybe $40 after the shopping spree for the lab. So who did you sell it to? I don't know, man. I was so fucked up. Well, think. I think it was a college kid or something. You're joking. Oh god, I think I'm gonna puke. Not in my lab, you're not. Eli rushed out of the room and outside. I grabbed the bag of product and hurried after him just in time to watch him hurl over the side of the porch. I'm so screwed. Eli, we shouldn't be making any assumptions. For all we know, this guy was just a tourist and he could already be gone. I gotta skip town, man. Eli, you gotta get a grip. You'll lay low for a bit, but for now, in the short term, we need to get ready for the deal. Where's it going down? Is that really all you can think about right now? I'm just saying, if you do need to skip town, you're gonna need the cash. Okay, you're right. Eli pulled his phone out of his pocket. He's gonna be here in 20 minutes. Eli and I scrambled to get everything together and rushed outside before the dealer showed up. As the dealer's red muscle car pulled up to the farm, Eli looked like he was gonna throw up again. Not bad, for two morons. Took a small scale out of his backseat and weighed the bag. 1.05 pounds, and here I thought it was all air. Tossed me the bag of money and then pulled out his wallet and retrieved a few extra $100. For the extra half an ounce, I took the extra cash in hand. So, same time next week? We'll need more pseudo. Not my problem. What do you mean, not your problem? Listen, you guys got everything I had, and my pseudo guy got busted, okay? I opened the bag of cash and began to count out half the rolls. 15 grand each. I handed him his share. Eli took his cash and returned to his room. And then I remembered. Lyra. I had completely forgotten about my phone. Rushed over to my bedside table and stashed the bag of cash into the drawer before grabbing my phone. Oh, I'm late. Yeah. Hey, are you there? What's going on? Sorry, had a problem. Can we meet later? I'm in town right now. You should get here. Something happened. What? I grabbed my wallet and slipped into my pocket with my phone before heading out. When I arrived in town, an aura of intensity had overtaken the whole city center. Then I noticed the small crowd. Something's not right. Then I saw it. A group of paramedics carrying a black body bag into a mortuary ambulance. What? Hey, she had found me amongst the crowd. Who is that? A local, apparently. Some college kid who was back in town for the break. What happened? There was a lot of rumors, but apparently they found drugs on him. With those words, I felt burning anxiety overtake me. They're saying he OD'd. I felt my heart beginning to beat out of control. A burning tightness in my chest overtook me. Are you okay? I have to calm down. Yeah, it's just... Say something. I exhaled, and the panic stopped. It's a tragedy. My heart beat slower, and my chest began to clear. Did you know him? No, not really. He was a local, I think. Where did he get the drugs? It's anyone's guess. Some tourist from the city probably sold it to him. Just another dumb kid who wanted to get high, and now... She let out a sigh. You want to get out of here? Yeah, I think I'll head back to my motel. Do you want me to walk you back? Sure. Thank you, Tavane. As we walked in silence, I got the feeling there was something Lyra didn't want to tell me. Are you okay? It's just a waste. A life thrown away for nothing. A few hours of euphoria. Is that really the sum of a life? Sometimes I think... Are all we doing chaining happy memories together, interlaced within periods of intoxication? Numbing out the pain and pretending to remember only the good things? Is that the sum of a life? I thought it best to give her some space. That guy, he must have been the one Eli sold to last night. And if he's dead, no more loose ends. And if I tell Eli, it could take all that weight off his shoulder, or it could destroy him. What do I do? So the thing is, if we don't tell him, I feel like he's going to find out anyways. And it's going to be one of those situations like, well, dude, why didn't you tell me sooner? That sort of thing. Though, I do agree if we tell him now, it could potentially destroy him. I think I'm going to tell him, but feel free to let me know in the comments what you would pick. He deserves to know the truth. I took a step towards the shut door and raised closed fists to knock. I hesitated and went for the doorknob. When I entered, all the lights were out and the curtains were shut. The room was heavy with the stench of weir. Eli was sitting on his bed looking away from the door. Eli, I need to tell you something. I have a feeling Eli already knows. Based off of the lights being off and everything, I think he already knows. The guy you sold to yesterday, they found him. I was afraid the statement alone would cause him to freak, but it didn't. He just stayed completely still, content in his silence. He OD'd. I just want you to know, no one is looking for you. They can't prove anything, and it wasn't your fault. If that guy wanted drugs, he would have found someone else to sell them to him. Silence was my only answer. Just keep your chin up. I closed the door. I turned in early after doing very little for the rest of the day. Morning. I rolled over and took my phone off the nightstand. Hey, you doing okay? If you need to talk... I heard a knock on my doorframe and looked up to find Eli. Hey, man. What's up? My guy, the dealer, he texted me last night. He said he found a new supplier if we want to make a deal. You're okay with that, even after what happened? Eli nodded his head. Once we make enough money, we can both put this whole thing behind us. I nodded my head. Okay. If you think that's the play, call your guy. Still no response from Lyra. He's on his way. You feeling okay? Eli nodded. I don't think I could blame myself. Whatever happens, happens, you know? It's like I said before, fate drove us here, right? And we've made it this far, so I guess something out there has our back. I didn't know if I believed that. We waited in silence, and a half hour later, the same red muscle car pulled up to the driveway. You boys look like so what happened? Huh? Yesterday, you didn't want anything to do with us, now you bent over backwards just to find a new supplier. The crystal you cooked up sold faster than anything we've had before. We turned a profit on that thing so quick it made the boss's head spin. So, now we want more. I'll even up the price. The dealer then pulled a large bag of cash from his car. 100 grand for 3 pounds. He gestured for me to follow as he walked to the back of his car. He popped the trunk. What? It's empty. Then a sharp pain ran down the back of my head. I was forced into the trunk, dazed and reeling from the blow. I turned to fight back and saw the dealer pull a handgun from his waistband as he slammed the trunk door in my face, and I was left in muffled darkness. Now we're just getting kidnapped. Wake up. I said get up. What? Then everything came back to me like a sucker punch in the head. Get the hell up. The man then dragged me out of the trunk and into the blinding light of the midday sun. We were in the middle of a field somewhere, deep in what looked like the forests around Summerset. What is this about? He pulled the handgun from his waistband and pointed it at my face. I'm not here to answer your questions. He grabbed onto my shirt cuff and pulled me up onto my feet before pushing me towards the door of the trailer. Where's Eli? Your boy's taking a nap in the back seat. I turned to look back at the car and the man hit me in the back of the head again with the edge of his handgun. Go. He gestured me towards the RV. I opened the door to the trailer and was met with a mobile drug lab. It was remarkably like the setup Eli and I created in the garage. You, my friend, are an artist. What's this about? My man over here tells me about the little operation you've been pulling out in that garage. You, my friend, are Michelangelo. Your work should be hanging in the Louvre. You should be working out of a penthouse suite of a 5-star hotel. Not scraping together pseudo from two big gangsters like this dude. He again gestured at the dealer who brought me here. I asked you nicely, man. We could have been friends. Snakes then pulled out a handgun out of his back waistband and cocked the chamber. Start cooking. I ain't gonna ask again. It's a wonder these morons haven't blown themselves up yet. Then I got an idea. A very bad idea. I took the container labeled I and dumped it into the largest beaker available. Luckily, they were the perfect brand for what I was doing. Small BB-sized pellets of crystallized iodine. I then took the bottle of clear ammonia from the pile of various chemicals. Let's hope these guys are as stupid as they look. I poured the ammonia into the container to its brim and waited for the reaction to take place. What are you doing? I've seen cooking before, and this don't look like cooking. Think now. As part of our process, by mixing ammonia with iodine, we can purify the crystals. The result is a much purer final product. But the dealer and Snake seemed perplexed by this idea. A purer final product means more return on investment. Now that's what I'm talking about. Not one of these morons would know how to do that kind of level 10 shit. Keep going, and I want to know all the details. It has to be done by now. As long as it's wet, there's no risk. I keep stalling for another 20 minutes, but soon could feel the aura of frustration growing to a climax. Alright, enough of this slow-ass B. Show me the real stuff, or I waste your partner, and then start target practicing with your toes. I normally have a partner, okay? If you guys hadn't knocked Eli out, I wouldn't have to do all the manual labor myself. Have your guy help me out. Snake turns to face the dealer. Do it. Nah, man, I ain't trying to get cancer from all these chems and shit. You talking back to me? I don't touch that stuff, man. I'll handle all the chemicals. Do it. Think of it as a learning experience. Everything seemed to slow as he reeled back to crush the compound. Pestle met with the iodine crystal in. I bolted away from the counter like a coiled snake. A massive cloud of purple iodine gas filled the trailer. I held my breath and slammed into Snakes as I ran, and he tumbled to the floor of the trailer, completely caught off guard by the explosion. What the heck? I heard the hiss of compressed gas escaping. Snakes has slammed into the valve of the propane tank they had been using for the burners. I could hear the pain-filled screams of the dealer as I rushed for the door. And as I burst through the door, I caught a glimpse of him in my peripherals. He was covered in blood, as jagged shards of glass have fragmented into his face and chest as deadly shrapnel. He was gripping his hand that was now only a purple-stained mess of jumbled and bloodied fingers. For the moment, his pain-filled screams were the only thing I heard as I blitzed outside of the trailer. I slammed the door closed behind me, pulling it as hard as I could. As in an adrenaline-filled haze, I ripped the cheap metal handle off the frame, jamming the door closed. I could hear the two men gasping for air as they began to suffocate from the iodine gas. I'm gonna kill him. I could hear him slamming into the now jammed door. Where the hell is my gun? It's not actually going to. I ran as quickly as my legs could carry me and ducked behind a tree. Well, I don't think we need to worry about that. They really are that stupid. Eli. I rushed to the red muscle car and opened the door. Eli slid out, hands and legs still bound by zip ties. What the hell? I felt the rush of adrenaline begin to subside and fell to the ground, my back against the luster of the car as an extreme fatigue fell over me. I began to shiver. Eli snapped the zip ties off his arms and pulled the few that bound his legs off in one swift motion. What the hell did you do? I felt my heart still rushing, and with bated breath I answered. Ammonia and iodine crystals mixed to form a nitrogen triiodide. A contact explosive so sensitive it can be detonated by alpha particle radiation. It will explode if you touch it, move it, blow on it, or in these guys' cases, hit it with a pestle. So, how did you survive? That, I pointed towards the burning trailer, was caused by one particularly stupid man's decision to discharge a firearm in a dirty fuel-filled and iodine-enclosed drug lab. Eli began to scream into the empty field. He fell down next to me. He looked as exhausted as I was. We gotta get out of here. I nodded my head. I don't suppose he left his keys in the glove compartment. Then I remembered. I stood up immediately and began to dig through every crevice of the car until I found the large plastic bag that held the money. I snatched up the bag and turned to Eli. We got to get out of here. It took us all day to get back to the farm. We had wandered lost for hours until we found a road that led back to Summerset. The sun was already setting by the time we got back to the farm. The surreal euphoria of the day had subsided hours ago and had quickly been replaced with a creeping chill of panic. Eli and I wordlessly stepped into the house. What do we do now? We? Screw that shit. I'm out. I'm done. Eli, listen. We just need to lay low. The cops don't know we were there. They'll just find their car, the bodies, the lab, and assume those two idiots just blew themselves up trying to cook. They have no way to track it back to us. This is crazy. We're killers. Those guys are dead because of us. Eli, it was us or them. They came here with guns to our head and would have buried us in that field if we didn't do what we did. I can't. This is the end, man. The end. I gotta get. In this inane, dazed stupor, Eli pushed into his room and began searching every inch of it for a joint. I let out a sigh. Eli, you gotta get a grip. I took the bag of money in hand. It was all I could think to do. I opened it and spilled the contents of the bag out on his bed. I began to split the pot, making two piles split 50-50. That's when I realized, Eli, I could see the panic in his eyes. This isn't $100,000. Don't tell me we did all that for nothing more than chump change. This is closer to 200, maybe more. What this, I pushed his share almost $100,000 closer to him, is whatever you want. You can go anywhere, start over. Be anyone you want to be. Be the person you always wanted to be. I need to think. I turned away and scooped up my half of the money. I left Eli to his own thoughts and returned to my bedroom. I sat down on the mattress and didn't even think about going to bed. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. My mind raced. Killers now. My phone? I had completely forgotten about it. Lyra had been sending me messages all day. Sorry for yesterday, that was hard. I've been thinking, are you... I scrolled down to the most recent message. Hey, are you doing okay? Are you still there? I guess you're busy. I wish we could talk. I guess I stood her up. All I could hear was the beating of my heart. The shock. The fear. The panic. Why won't it stop? I looked down at my phone. I didn't even remember typing the word. Beach. My legs carried me there, even though I was exhausted. Even as my mind began to crack, not until I was already there, sitting in the sand, listening to the waves. That is gorgeous. I heard her soft footsteps in the sand. Tavain? What's going on? Just from her voice, I could tell. It had gone from confusion to concern in an instant. Are you okay? Tavain? You don't say anything all day and then you think... Silence was her answer. She wanted to be mad, but for some reason she just couldn't bring herself to be. Why? Why doesn't she hate me? She sat down next to me. What's going on with you? I don't know where to begin. You should just leave. Tell me anything. Doesn't have to be what's wrong, but tell me something. I turned to look at her. I know it's been a long time since we were kids, and even then, I know we weren't friends. But I want you to... I wish you felt like you could tell me anything. I tried to do some good, but I think all I did was make things worse. My face fell into my hands and I felt the stream of tears fall down my face. It's okay. You don't have to be strong here. She placed her hand on my shoulder. I'm a coward. I couldn't bring myself to admit even the smallest things. How could I? It was my mom. The reason I ran off yesterday, right before I started high school, my dad passed away. My mom, she just lost it. She couldn't work, she couldn't clean or cook or even bathe. She would just stay in her room all day long, sleeping or crying. I had to do everything, buy groceries, clean the house, cook our meals. I even drove myself to school with my learners just to make it to class on time. Then she started using pills first. She used to get prescriptions from this POS doctor, a quack with a lab coat and a prescription pad. He'd write a script for anything. Then they just started cracking down on pills. But by then, she was already too addicted to do anything else. So she started buying from dealers, but when pills started getting harder to come by, she would use whatever she can get her hands on. Harder drugs. Most days, I would come home to find her too strung out to do anything but drool into a mattress. I remember hating her so much. I just wanted one day where I can come home from not having to deal with her passed out in a pool of piss. One day when I could just be a teenager. One day when I didn't have to force her to do something as simple as bathe. And then one day, I got my wish. I came home, and she was gone. OD'd, alone, in that filthy room in a pool of her own vomit. I remember feeling relieved, like I was living in a nightmare and it was finally over. But then, all that hate I had for her came crashing down on me. Why couldn't I stop her? Why couldn't I have helped her? But in reality, there was nothing I could have done. This place, Summerset, it's not like we could have ever gotten help in a town like this. A tourist trap like this place, they never want to spoil their image. And that helplessness, it tore me apart until there was nothing left inside of me but bitterness and hatred and apathy. Her hand shifted up to my cheek and she wiped away the stream of tears. I know what it's like to be in that hole. I've been down there before. And I know the way out. Please say something. There are some people who I've hurt. People like me? I hesitated. You remember that? She nodded her head. Maybe that's how it all started. Maybe that was just the stepping stone, the first thing someone told me when I got here. Was this place wouldn't change me, it would just show who I really am. Maybe I've always been this person, and now it's just out in the open. I've always been a bee. I felt her hand slip down my shoulder and interlock within my own. It took me so many years to realize that hating yourself doesn't make the pain go away. You have to learn to forgive yourself. I don't think I could come back from the things I've done. I don't think I can forgive myself. She then reached out and kissed me softly on the lips. I forgive you for all those years ago, but you're gonna have to do the rest yourself. We sat there, her head on my shoulder, and watched the sunset over the horizon. Did you know that when we were little, I had a huge crush on you? I half laughed at this statement, through my hoarse throat and watery eyes before nodding my head yes. I could have guessed much. Did you know that tomorrow the town is having their midsummer festival? They're closing off the city center for a private event, and the whole town is going to come. No tourists, just the locals. I was thinking maybe you could be my date? If you want. I let out a soft sigh. My heart finally stopped racing. Maybe Lyra was right. Maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe this could be the beginning. Even after everything that's happened, I could still find reasons. When I opened the front door, Eli was waiting in the living room. I wordlessly walked in and shut the door. You okay? He nodded. I thought about what you said, and after tomorrow I'm gonna leave town. I'll take my money and head out. Find a new life, I guess. Maybe I'll even go to college like you. I thought I could at least attend the Midsummer Festival, say my goodbyes to everyone, before ditching the old place. What about you? I don't know yet, but I think my criminal days are over. I'll take care of the lab, get rid of the evidence. You won't have to worry about any of this. Eli then stood. I guess I'll see you tomorrow at the festival, but if I don't, maybe we'll meet again in another life. Yeah, maybe. I outstretched my hand and Eli shook it. Thanks for being my partner in this life. A new life. Do I deserve such a thing? Maybe it's not about a new life. Maybe it's about a better life. I made it back just in time. I pulled up to the gravel driveway and turned the engine of Eli's truck off. Picked up the yellow envelope that had taken me all morning to put together. Spent hours driving all over the county to every bank in a 30-mile radius, exchanging $5,000 in exchange for their equivalent value in cashier checks. I opened the letter I had written to my parents. Dear Mom and Dad, I found out a lot of things about Granddad and myself this summer. He had a lot of debt, but also it looks like he was planning to pay it all back. I found a bunch of cashier checks buried under his bed. It turns out he would drive all over the county selling his crops. I guess he didn't trust banks or something. He almost had enough to pay off his debts, but he passed away before he could finish. Since his property was inherited under your name, I made sure to enclose all the money in this envelope. I hope to see you again soon. P.S. I'm thinking of staying in Summerset for a little while longer. I put the letter down and slipped it into the envelope with all the checks before stepping out of the truck. Eli must have left for the festival already. His bags were packed and arranged neatly next to the front door. I placed his car keys on the living room table. I let out a sigh, opening the door to the garage. I took one last look at the lab we had built. It almost felt wrong taking apart such a setup. I unfolded a large black trash bag and began scooping up the glassware into the plastic sack. It took me a solid hour and almost a half a dozen trash bags to get everything cleaned up. Got our little mop and stuff over there. I guess I'll have to wait till tomorrow to throw all this stuff away. I should probably take it to the dump myself, or maybe wait until tonight and spread them out amongst public dumpsters. Checked my phone. It's 11:34. I guess I should get cleaned up and head into town. After showering, I put on the nicest shirt and pants that I had brought with me. Even then, it was nothing fancy. I looked down at my phone. It was Lyra. Where do we meet? I can come over. It's a bit ripe here, with all the manure. General store? Sounds good. See you there. I let out a deep breath, tucked the envelope into my back pocket, and walked out the front door. The festival was already in full swing. Didn't need a map, I see. I even tied my own shoes. She slipped her hand into my own. What should we do first? I actually need to mail a letter first, then I'm free for the rest of the day. Who's it to? My parents, just letting them know what's been going on. Well then, get a move on. I know it's the solstice, but the sun's not going to keep forever. Hand in hand, we walked to the small P.O. box that sat in front of the general store. I slipped the envelope into the box and slid the opening close. All done. Now we have $1,500 to spend. Good. Come on. She then pulled me away from the mailbox and into the city square. A variety of activities had been set up for the town to partake in. From the big potluck to a band playing soft folk music to a few carnival games for the kids. Let's go carnival game. Look! She pointed to the small carnival game stand that had been set up off to the side of the festival. She quickly pulled me towards the small air rifle game. The man running the stand turned and looked at me. Howdy, buddy. Hit all the targets and you can win a stuffed rabbit for your girlfriend. She didn't even deny the premise. How much? $5. 5? Is there some shortage of stuffed rabbits I didn't read about? It's not about the price of the thing, it's about the valor, the battle, hard, and victory that you will win to seize this here prize. You may think this mere stuffed bunny isn't worth $5, but you're wrong. It's more than a stuffed toy. It's a priceless memento of the battle you fought for your lady here. I looked at him with a raised brow. He makes a good point. I opened my wallet. I realized all I had was $50 and $100 bills. Oh, all I have are 50s. Lyra opened her purse and placed a $10 bill on the table. The man handed me the air rifle. The target started moving and I fired at the first. I missed. I fired again and again, but only managed to hit one of the targets. Well, your girl fronted you a 10, so I guess that gives you another chance. Let me try. I handed her the air rifle. Well then, little missy, let's see what you've got. He started up the game again. With her first 3 shots, she hit each target dead center. How? You don't aim at the targets, you aim where the target is going. Well then, mister, looks like your girlfriend won you a stuffed rabbit. I took the stuffed animal in hand and Lyra returned the air rifle with a devilish smile on her face. So, you're awfully handy with a rifle. Makes me wonder what else I don't know about you. I grew up in the country, It'd be weirder if I wasn't good with a gun. And considering how many trips you took to the farm, I'm surprised how awful you are with one. Maybe I can give you a private lesson someday. I'll hold you to that. I slipped the stuffed rabbit into my back pocket. She took my hand and led me away from the stand. Come on, let's dance. Dance? Without a word of warning or a moment to acknowledging my cry of protest, she pulled me away. Lyra dragged me towards the plaza where a small band was playing music. She pulled herself closer to my chest and slipped my hand onto her waist. I began to whisper through grit teeth, Lyra, I don't know how to dance. Nonsense! It's easy! She began to lead me back and forth to the soft rhythm of the music. You just listen to the music and let your heart do the rest. For the moment, we stood there, hand in hand, moving to the sound of the music, and became lost in the fantasy. She pulled herself closer, resting her head on my chest as we motioned back and forth to the melody of the music. Maybe there is a life. A better life after all of this. Then she suddenly pulled away. I watched as she threw her arms into the air, laughing as she spun herself to the sound of the music. With a large smile on her face, she took my hand and led me back to the town square. Lyra stretched out her arms and let out a small yawn. Let's sit down for a bit. I nodded my head, and she led me to the big fountain in the middle of town. We sat down on the edge of the marble, and she let out a long sigh. You okay? Well, it's nice to get away from all the crowds. You don't like crowds, do you? No, I don't know why, but all the noise, all the eyes, being in the center of it all, it always makes me nervous. That's what I like about my job. Most of the time I get to work in peace. You never did tell me what you do. Oh, stop! You're gonna spoil the mood if I have to start in on office politics. So you have a desk job? She rolled her eyes. Some days I get to be out and about, other days, paperwork. Lots and lots of paperwork. She lets out a sigh and dipped her hand into the fountain. Some days, I wish I could just give it all up. Then without warning, she flicked her hand at me, splashing a small wave of water from the fountain on me. You're gonna regret that. I scooped up a handful of water. Don't you dare! I splashed a small wave at her, and she let out a small laugh as she tried to dodge it. We went back and forth, splashing each other with water, all the while laughing like we were kids again. And in that moment, I realized how much attention we were drawing on ourselves. I felt a creeping chill of fear grip me as I remembered what she had told me just a moment ago. Everyone was looking at us, but in that moment, Lyra was having too much fun to realize just how many glares we were attracting, and I never wanted to take that away from her. Okay, I give up. In one final desperate attack, she pulled her arms around me, making sure I absorbed the brunt of her already wet clothes. Hand in hand, we walked back towards the center of town. Luckily, it was a hot summer day, and we dried out quickly. It's getting late. I'm getting a little tired. Maybe we should head out. Where to? I've never actually seen the farm. Well, I've seen it, but I've never been there. I'd like to see what you've been doing all summer. Call it an educational curiosity. You sure? It's just a lot of dirt and manure. Then I'm sure it'll be the most education dirt and manure I'll ever see. I'm sure it'll be educational for both of us. Oh, we got a wink on that one. Okay. The sun was starting to set as we approached the farmhouse. So this is the old place. She eyed the patch of dirt Eli and I had dug out just a few weeks ago. I guess the farming took a back seat. Squeezed her hand. I guess I found something a little more important. Come on. She gestured me forward with a little tilt of her head. I want to see the inside. It's all so rustic. Makes me miss the old cabin we had by the beach. I can't believe you've had all this space to yourself. Where's Eli? I wonder how he's doing. Oh, his bags were here this morning, and his truck wasn't in the driveway. I think he left already. Left? Yeah, he decided he wanted to get out of Summerset. I'm sure wherever he is, he's doing just fine. I guess this means we have the house to ourselves. She walked over to the kitchen table and sat in one of the old wood chairs. She let out a long yawn, outstretching her arms as she laid her head on the table. I sat down in the chair next to her, and she smiled at me. Today was nice. Thank you, Tavane, for a day like this. Thank you, too. for what you did for me yesterday. I don't know where I would be if you hadn't come and found me, and I owe you more than you could ever understand." She turned and looked up at me before pulling herself closer and kissing me softly on the lips. "I never told anyone about my mom. I kept it to myself, bottled up inside. Today was the first day I felt free. I owe you that, so I'd say we're even." We sat there for a moment, in silence, her head resting on my shoulder. Today was the perfect day. She took my hand in her own. I wanted to have a perfect ending. She led me to the bedroom. Well, dang. That was quick. That was major time skip. I rolled out of bed. I gotta get going. She turned to face me. "Have another good day." Let's weed the patches. Spent the next hour pulling out weeds that seemed to spring endlessly in every direction. I remember the first time I did this. At first the endless weeds were daunting, and the fact that they just reappeared the next day was infuriating. But the more I worked over these months, the more I came to see the weeds as a comforting expectation. Better get the right fruit ready for delivery. I tore away the heavy, thick stems and pulled the fresh melons into a pile. After getting enough for the day's delivery, I made sure everything in the truck was ready. I hauled the heavy summer melons into the back of my truck. The season is almost over. I better clear a new patch for the next season. I started by clearing out the larger shrubs and a few head-sized rocks. I tilled the open area and began to hoe out the holes for the seeds. After a few hours, I had the whole patch tilled out and ready to seed in the future. Better start the deliveries for the day.
"Oh, Tavane, are you here with the delivery?"
Yep, last one of the day. Do you need any help loading them in?
"You're too kind, dear. These old bones aren't what they used to be."
No problem. All done.
"Thank you, dear. Here's your payment for the summer melons."
I took the money in hand. Thank you.
"What do you think you'll plant for the fall?"
I'm not sure yet. Any suggestions?
Pumpkins are always popular with the kids. We could run a special together for the town festival in October.
Sounds like a plan. I gotta get back to the farm.
Oh, don't let my rambling keep you.
While I'm here, I should visit the bank. As I made my way to the front door of the great marble building, I met a familiar face. Ah, Tavane, can I help you with something? I'm here with this week's payment on the farm. Ah, of course, I can help you with that. I handed him the cash for the week's deposit. He took the money in hand. The bank would like to thank you for your continued patronage. A few more months, and that small business loan should be paid off. A few more months. That will be a day to celebrate for sure. I'll let you get back to work. Yes, thank you. Have a good day. I'll need to start expanding soon, getting ready for fall, weeding, replanting. It's endless. But it's all worth it when I get to walk through that door. I stepped through the door. She was already home, asleep with her head down on the kitchen table. I took the blanket off the couch and threw it over her shoulders. Oh. She spoke in a soft, half-awake tone. I wouldn't want it any other way. I get to make a difference. I get to do good. Well, I thank you. No, this isn't right. She never told me. Is this a dream? Maybe. But even so, I wonder if we could stay like this, forward, on this farm. We could make it into a real home. I wonder if we could find a new life here, a better life. But is this real? Could this be anything more than a dream? Sometimes all you need is a dream. Look at everything we have here. What more could you need? Leave the dream? Wow. Okay. Just dreamed about the future there. I was rocked awake and shot up in an instant. I was in my bedroom. That dream. Then everything came back to me. The festival in town. Coming back here with Lyra. Lyra? She's gone? The impression in the bed where she had lain just an hour ago was all that remained. What was that? That came from the garage. I threw on my clothes and made for the garage. Oh. Eli? What's going on? Then I saw her. Lyra standing against a shelf holding her head as a thin layer of blood trickled down her head. Just a few feet away, Eli was holding the broken half of a glass flask in his hand.
On the floor next to Lyra's purse was a small handgun. I went for the gun in an instant. What is going on here? I turned the gun towards Eli. You stay away from her. Wait, you don't understand. Look around. Lyra, are you okay? Look around, you idiot. She knows. I turned towards the large plastic trash bags that I had filled with all our old chemistry equipment. They had been opened and some of their contents spilled around the room. Look in her purse. Shut up. I'm not falling for it. Do it. I eyed the handbag on the ground and kept the gun trailed on him as I picked up the bag. I found it almost instantly. A silver badge with the letters DDE in big embroidered letters. I read the words over and over again, hoping somehow they would change. Department of Drug Enforcement. Below it was an identification card and clear as day an image of her face with the words Special Agent. She's a narc. What do you think happened? She pulled her gun on me. No, Lyra. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I'm sorry I didn't do this on purpose. Please believe me, it wasn't on purpose, but I had to check that part of my mind, that part that doesn't let things be good. Shoot her. No! She's a Fed, you idiot. There's no way we walk away from this that doesn't end with her in a hole. Say it again, I'll kill you. I turned to face her. I could tell. She could tell the desperation in my eyes. She was fearless. Please, Lyra, we could... He's right, Tavane. Just promise me whatever happens, you'll learn to live. Do what you have to do. I turned back to her. I'm not gonna shoot her. I can't do it. I dropped the gun and it hit the ground with a small metal tang. I can't do it. Arrest me. I'll confess everything, but I can never hurt you. Not again. Never again. I heard him go for it. He dropped the gun and with a metallic clunk, it landed just a few feet away. I reached out and held her face. I think I started to scream. I know I started to cry, but everything else was lost into the dull haze of rage. I'm gonna leave it. Eli ran for it, looking like he was about to puke. I heard the slam of a door, and then the revving of his truck as he sped away. Jesus. In the end, I guess the old man's tools had some use after all. It all makes sense. Where you began and where you ended. Your mom, and the path you chose in life. I guess I never did apologize for all those years ago, because in the end, you always were the one who paid the price. Lyra, for everything, but more than anything, I regret never telling you. The dull haze, the acrid smell, floor soaked wet with chemicals. Hopefully it will be quick. One big fireball, maybe in another life. I'll get to tell her to her face. I'm sorry. My hand began to shudder. I watched the flicker of the flame as it began to eat down the wooden shaft of the match. Why can't I do it? Cowardice, or is it something else? Lyra, I remember. It took me so many years to realize that hating yourself doesn't make the pain go away. You have to learn to forgive yourself. Is that why? Is that what she would want? Can I really be forgiven, even for this? I have to find reasons to keep living. Otherwise, it all really would have meant nothing. Well, that's the end.
Of all the money that e'er I spent it.
I'm gonna let this play, and I will give my thoughts on the game after this is done here.
I've done, alas, it was to none but me, and all I've done for want of wit to memory I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you.
Oh, do we have more? Press any key to quit. So, friends and gremlins, that was A Warmer Shade of Summer. This was a very interesting visual novel, not what I was expecting going into this. Again, when I first looked this game up, it was talking about just a farm being in disrepair. Was not expecting us to turn into like a drug thing of sorts, but if you liked what you saw here, I will be leaving a link for the game down in the description box below, as well as a link for the game developers to check them out on their platforms and such. If you selected the other options, feel free to let me know down in the comments. I love reading the comments and interacting with y'all. And there will also be links down in the description box for following me on other social media platforms, as well as other videos that I have here on the channel. There is a playlist that I have for all the Freebie Game Fridays, so if you like checking out some free games, be sure to check out the playlist. And that is all the time I have for today. I want to thank you gremlins and comrades so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, it does help out the channel a lot. And until the next video, stay gremlin. Bye!